Imagine walking into an airport with your trained service dog by your side, papers in hand, identification ready, every box checked, only to have someone march up and demand you move your dog because they don't like where it's sitting. That's exactly how this insane story begins. And the best part? The woman making the demand had no idea who was about to stand up for me, or how badly her arrogance would backfire. It all started early in the morning at gate C27. I was traveling with Shadow, my golden retriever service dog. Shadow's job isn't a cute pet perk. He's trained to alert me before I faint due to a heart condition. He's quite literally the reason I can fly at all. We'd flown dozens of times before without incident. The airline staff knew what to do, and Shadow knew exactly how to behave. Quiet, calm, curled up right beneath my assigned seat. But that day, a woman I'll call Karen strutted up with an expression that could curdle milk. She wore a massive sun hat indoors, oversized sunglasses, and carried a designer bag she never once let out of her grip. From the moment her heels clicked into the gate area, I knew she was going to be that person. Karen glanced down at Shadow, then at me, and wrinkled her nose. "Excuse me," she said, "but you'll need to move that dog. This is my spot." I blinked. "I'm sorry? This is my assigned seat and this is my service dog." Her voice sharpened like glass. "Well, I don't care if it's your dog or your llama. Dogs don't belong on planes. He's taking up space and I want him gone." Passengers turned their heads. A mother clutching her toddler whispered, "It's a service dog." But Karen waved her hand dismissively. "I don't care what you people call it. I paid good money for my seat. She can move somewhere else. I'm not flying next to a mutt." At that moment, the gate agent stepped over, sensing trouble. She politely explained the laws protecting service animals. But Karen folded her arms and sneered. "We'll see about that. I know people. This is against regulations." What Karen didn't know was that I knew people too. And one of them happened to be the very pilot scheduled to fly this plane. The real fireworks were about to start. The gate agent had done her best to explain the situation calmly. But Karen wasn't listening. She had already convinced herself she was the victim of some grand injustice. And when people like her feel cornered, they don't back down. They escalate. She jabbed a manicured finger at Shadow, who was lying still with his head resting on his paws. "That thing is dirty. I have allergies. I demand you remove it." The gate agent, maintaining professional composure, replied, "Ma'am, this is a certified service animal. Federal regulations allow him to accompany his handler in the cabin. If you have medical concerns, we can provide accommodations, but the dog stays." That wasn't good enough for Karen. Her voice rose, echoing across the gate like a siren. "So you're saying my health means nothing? You're siding with this faker? I know all about people who slap a fake vest on their pets, just to get special treatment." The word faker made my stomach twist. I wanted to shout, but I forced myself to stay calm. Shadow stirred slightly, sensing my rising anxiety. I placed a hand on his head, steadying both of us. Karen wasn't finished. She turned to the other passengers, trying to rally support. "Does anyone here actually want a dog shedding all over the plane? What if it barks? What if it bites? We shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense just because she thinks she's entitled." A few people shook their heads, muttering under their breath. One man spoke up. "Lady, it's a service dog. He's better behaved than half the passengers I've flown with." Laughter rippled through the gate area, but Karen's face turned crimson. She spun back toward the desk. "Fine. If you won't listen to me, I'll go higher. I want the captain out here. I'll tell him directly." My heart skipped. She had no idea what she just asked for. "You see, my dad's best friend, from the Air Force, someone who had been flying since before I was born, was the captain scheduled for this very flight. He wasn't just a pilot. He was practically family, someone who had known me since I was little. And if there was one thing he had no patience for, it was entitled bullies harassing people who followed the rules." The gate agent picked up the phone, clearly reluctant. But Karen demanded it again and again. "Bring me the captain. I'm not boarding until I speak to him personally." She thought she was about to win. She thought pulling rank would finally get her way. She was about to meet the one person who would make sure she regretted every word. The murmurs of passengers grew louder as we all waited. Karen stood with her chin tilted upward, clutching her designer bag like it was a badge of authority. She clearly thought she had won. The captain would come out, see her side, and magically make my service dog disappear. But when the gate door swung open, Karen's smug grin faltered. Out walked Captain Reynolds, tall, broad-shouldered, and with that calm, commanding presence pilots always seem to carry. His uniform was crisp, his cap tucked neatly under one arm. And the moment his eyes landed on me, they softened with recognition. "Kiddo," he said warmly, his voice carrying across the gate. "Didn't expect to see you flying today?" Karen blinked, confused. "Wait, you know her?" Captain Reynolds gave Shadow a quick nod of approval. "Of course I do. I've known her since she was barely tall enough to climb the stairs of a plane. And that dog? He's one of the best trained service animals I've ever seen. A ripple of whispers spread among the passengers. Karen's face lost a shade of its color. Still, she puffed herself up and pushed forward. Captain, I'm glad you're here. This girl is trying to bring an animal on board. It's unsanitary, unsafe, and frankly unacceptable. I demand you have it removed. I paid for peace and quiet, not fur and fleas. The captain raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. Ma'am, this passenger is traveling with a legally recognized service animal. He has full clearance to fly, and she has every right to that seat. Karen scoffed. So you're just going to take her word for it? How do you know she's not faking? That was it. Captain Reynolds stepped closer, lowering his voice but keeping it sharp. Because I've flown with her before, because I've seen what her dog does for her, and because I know her family personally. If you're suggesting I don't know my job, or the law, then we have a much bigger problem. Passengers started nodding, murmuring in agreement. A man clapped lightly, and soon others joined in. Karen's face flushed bright red, but instead of backing down, she snapped. This is ridiculous. I won't fly like this. I'll take it to corporate, to the FAA, to whoever listens. Captain Reynolds didn't flinch. He leaned in just enough for his words to cut through the chaos. That's your choice, but I'll tell you, right now, if you continue harassing this passenger or disrupt this flight, you won't be stepping on my plane at all. Karen froze. The gate had fallen silent. For a moment, nobody moved. The entire gate area seemed to be holding its breath, waiting to see what Karen would do. Her lips parted like she was about to unleash another tirade. But then she caught sight of the passengers around her. Every single one glaring, shaking their heads, whispering about her behavior. The support she had expected simply wasn't there. Still, she wasn't ready to let go. You can't do this to me, she hissed. I paid for this ticket. I have rights. Captain Reynolds crossed his arms. Yes, ma'am, you do. But so does every other passenger here. And when your rights turn into disrupting the safety and dignity of the flight, that's where it ends. You've made your choice. The gate agent, emboldened now that the captain had taken a stand, stepped forward with a firm voice. Ma'am, your behavior violates our passenger code of conduct. You are no longer permitted to board this aircraft. We will rebook you on another flight if possible, but you will not be traveling on this one. Karen's jaw dropped. You can't be serious. You're kicking me off? For a dog? Someone in the waiting area muttered. For being a menace. A few people chuckled under their breath. Karen turned on me, fury blazing. This is your fault. You and that animal ruined everything. Shadow lifted his head calmly, blinking at her as if to say, Really? That's the best you've got? I just sat there, quiet, hand resting on his fur, refusing to let her bait me. Captain Reynolds stepped between us. That's enough. Gather your things and step away from the gate, or security will escort you out. At that, Karen finally realized she had no ground left to stand on. With a dramatic huff, she spun on her heels, muttering insults under her breath. The sight of her storming off, sun hat tilted askew, bag bouncing awkwardly at her side, was almost cinematic. As she disappeared down the terminal, the gate erupted in applause. Strangers clapped me on the shoulder. Passengers leaned down to scratch Shadow's ears, and someone even whispered, Good riddance. When boarding began, Captain Reynolds gave me a reassuring nod. Don't let people like that shake you, kiddo. You and Shadow have every right to be here. I smiled, finally letting the tension fade. Thanks, Captain. I owe you one. He winked. Nah, consider it turbulence. Sometimes, you just have to ride it out until the sky's clear. And with that, Shadow and I boarded peacefully. Karen, meanwhile, was left stranded, her entitled demands grounded before they could even take off. Thanks for watching this crazy story unfold. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more wild Karen and HOA dramas, and drop a comment below telling me what you would have done in this situation. Your support keeps these stories coming.